Let's get over to David Finfrock, keeping a real close eye on these radars. David, what do you see in that area?
Yeah, still no sign of an actual tornado or even a tornado warning. We just were in conversation with the National Weather Service. They confirmed there is no tornado warning in Tarrant County at the present time. So I'm not sure who sounded the sirens, but usually that is reserved for a tornado warning, and in this case there is no tornado warning in Tarrant County. What size?
Golf ball.
Golf ball sized hail reported in Sansom Park here just off of Lake Worth as the storm came through there. This whole storm complex is moving off towards the east and the northeast. Here is Lake Worth. Sansom Park is just on the east side of the lake there, and you could see the heaviest portion of the precipitation and probably the largest hail moving up through Saginaw and Blue Mound and heading on up towards Keller at the present time. James putting a storm track on here, and you can see with this area where we have had golf ball sized hail reported, it's moving to the northeast and should be affecting Saginaw and Blue Mound here just in the next couple of minutes, obviously, and then headed towards Haltom City, Watauga, North Richland Hills before the half hour is up. This storm continuing to show signs of heavy rain and hail and a lot of lightning. It is a dangerous storm.
Tornado warning will be issued.
Just getting word from, if we can bring James Adelot's microphone up, he's just getting the latest word in from the National Weather Service, and they say a tornado warning is forthcoming. They have not issued
that's
it
right.
yet.
David,
James?
we're going to keep it on Storm Track 1 because we're seeing the increasing rotation now, and it's developed a little further south in this notch, just to the north of downtown Fort Worth in the Stockyards area. And we project that storm out, Haltom City, Richland Hills, the southern part of North Richland Hills, Hearst, Bedford. There's sound indicating the tornado warning now issued for Tarrant County. So the storm sirens, no doubt, sounding again. Let's zoom in with this storm just a little bit more. We're right into Tarrant County, into Fort Worth right now. The center part of that rotation appears to be crossing I-35, the North Freeway, very close to Northside Drive and Northwest 28th Street, which would be right here, Northside Drive, of course. And that appears right where the center of circulation would be, right very close to Northside Drive and Interstate 35 right now. This storm could produce a tornado at any time as it moves up toward Haltom City.
If we can keep both our mics open here, I just want to add in something I just read here from the National Weather Service. They indicate that storm spotters near Hazlet were reporting strong rotation and say that debris has been reported. Now that would seem to indicate a tornado on the ground, but we don't know that for sure. It could be straight line winds that are blowing dust and debris up into the air, but Hazlet, of course, is right up near the Texas Motor Speedway, way up near the Denton County line. If we go to Storm Track 2, you can see Hazlet is just there to the west of Alliance Airport. Here is Alliance Airport. Texas Motor Speedway would be right here, and near Hazlet, we don't know precisely where from Hazlet, we have had reports of debris and some rotation in the skies. Let's go to Kevin Coakley live. Kevin?
Yeah, David, you might be able to hear the hail coming down. We're probably getting, I'd say, dime-sized hail right now.
Okay, Kevin, could you tell us again exactly where you're located?
We're at 35 north of Fort Worth at Basswood Drive, and just within the last couple of minutes while you've been speaking, this line of clouds passed directly over 35. It's now moved east, and directly behind it now the hail is probably up to nickel-sized hail. Actually, it's hurting my back as it strikes it. You might be able to hear that too. There was no rain at all before the clouds, but then after that, I'm sorry, say again?
We've got sirens going now in Fort Worth, guys.
I can't understand you, sorry.
Okay,
having a hard time hearing you with the hail and all the rest.
Sure.
You might be able to see some of it, or now it's getting down even more like a quarter.
Kevin, if you need to get to safety right now, would you please go? We'll come back to you. We do have sirens going off right now. I'm not sure how big that hail is, but please don't stand out there if you don't need to.
Yeah, it's getting bigger by the second, actually, Jane. It's probably up to about a quarter size right now.
And we can now hear the sirens behind you, Kevin, as they are going off here in Fort Worth as well. David?
Okay, let's go back to Storm Track 1 for an instance. We did just get a report in Saginaw, which is right about at this location, of tennis ball-sized hail. So some of the hail getting larger as it is moving in through northern Tarrant County. Now, Kevin was up here off to the north. This is where the darker cell is here would indicate probably where the heaviest hail is at the present time, and this is tracked across Saginaw with near tennis ball-sized hail, and that appears to be moving up towards Keller. Where this is bowing out a bit, we probably have some very strong winds coming out of that cell, moving from the downtown area into East Fort Worth. We have had a tornado warning now issued officially for Tarrant County. We have still not had an official report of a tornado in Fort Worth, but odds are, you should just take cover immediately if you are in the direct path of the storm, say from the downtown area up through Haltom City, the Riverside community, on over to the east side of 820. You can see this is the airport freeway running up from downtown out towards the Loop 820 intersection. We are going to see very heavy rain and hail. In fact, we're getting hail outside the studio right now, which is located right about here. Do we know what size hail we're getting out there right now?
Baseball-sized hail in North Fort Worth right now at Beach and just south of 820.
Okay,
Baseball-sized
right up here,
hail.
that would be right up there near the National Weather Service headquarters. They are reporting baseball-sized hail right up here at the present time. It's not that big down here in the southern section, but we are getting reports of a large hail. Looks like some pea to marble-sized hail here at our station. Let's go back to Kevin Coakley. Kevin, what size is that? It looks
it's
pretty good.
Clearly big enough to fit in the palm of my hand, probably larger than a quarter. Not as big as a bread box, but certainly enough to hurt your back when it comes and slams into you.
And that was right up near the Texas Motor Speedway where you are seeing those hail reports, right?
Yep, exactly. We're just a few miles south of TMS right here, north of downtown Fort Worth along 35. It's now turning over, it seems, to rain. The hail didn't last very long, but this is probably the largest piece that we saw when it was coming down.
Okay, thanks a lot, Kevin. We're going to go now to one of our storm trackers in the field, Tim Marshall, a veteran storm tracker. Tim, where are you located at the present time?
I am in Eagle Mountain Lake, just north of Saginaw.
Okay, Tim, what are you seeing there, and what have you seen in the last few minutes?
Yeah, we just had 2-inch diameter hail. We measured it, and it's 2 inches in diameter here in Eagle Mountain Lake.
Okay, 1 3/4 inches would be golf ball sized for the folks at home, so this is larger than that. And we've had reports of tennis ball sized hail in Saginaw. Have you seen any signs of rotation with this storm as it came over your head where you were?
No, David, it was mostly just turbulence associated with the shelf cloud. Just a shelf cloud, David, and that was just turbulence in the sky. Nothing came down.
Okay, we're seeing something really unusual on the radar here, what looks like a hook echo, but it is an anticyclonic hook. Usually you see a cyclonic hook, high pressure. Usually tornadoes rotate like all low pressure areas in an anticyclonic direction, but in this case it is spinning in the opposite direction. That can sometimes happen. You can get a
David, they're
clockwise
asking us, we're getting some calls. Re-explain that for us again about the cyclonic. That was the thing that they were...
Usually if you see a hook, you would expect to see it coming down like this, hooking down in a
counterclockwise rotation.
Yeah.
It is cyclonic, David.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I guess it is. It is curving up this way. It's just coming out on the top edge of the storm, which is kind of...
it's really wrapping up strongly.
David, the producer is asking me to ask you, and I hate to interrupt you, but what should people be doing right now who are watching?
Those people who are up here in Haltom City and on over towards Hurst and northeast Fort Worth should be taking cover immediately. We don't know that there is a tornado on the ground, but there is a tornado warning in effect. This storm showing signs, definite signs of rotation from the reflectivity displays. James, have you had a chance to look at the velocity display?
David, where should they take cover right now?
James is going to look at the velocity display.
Let's run down the safety tips. Haltom City, Richland Hills, Hurst, Bedford, and Euless. Eastern Fort Worth and northern Arlington, north of Interstate 30, south of 121, or south of 820 and the airport freeway. You folks need to take tornado precautions in the lowest level of your home, smallest room, and away from any outside walls. Just lowest level, center part, smallest room. This storm will pass south of the northeast loop 820, south of Watauga, south of Colleyville, but you folks in Bedford, Hurst, North Richland Hills, Euless, eastern parts of Haltom City, eastern Fort Worth, and Richland Hills should take tornado precautions. If you're in a car or a mobile home, seek nearby safe shelter. Those are terribly unsafe places to be. Again, that tornado warning continuing in effect for eastern Tarrant County, and we are zoomed in right here with Storm Track 5 showing you that wrapped up hook echo that could produce a tornado at any time in the southeastern sections of Haltom City. We're getting a radar update right now. We'll update that storm track for you. But again, lowest level, center part, smallest room if you're in this danger zone. And right now, a very impressive hook echo. It is crossing the East Loop 820 right now, passing over far eastern Fort Worth, southern side of Hurst, southern side of Bedford.
This would be down in the River Bend area there.
Right through the
down
river
in the Trinity River bottoms in far east Fort Worth. Now, we're looking at the Doppler velocity displays and still not seeing what you would look for as a classic velocity signature, but it sure looks like it on the actual the reflectivity mode. It looks like hook. We have still had no reports of an actual tornado touchdown, but we have had some reports up around Hazlitt of what they thought was a debris field, and this certainly looks like a hook coming down here. If there is a tornado, it would be in this vicinity down here in the River Bend area of East Fort Worth, crossing 820 at the present time, and that means it's headed on over into the Trinity River bottoms, North Arlington, over towards the River Legacy Park area, maybe a little north of there, up into the far south side of Hurst and Euless, headed towards the south end of DFW Airport. So obviously still a very dangerous situation here. James, do we have this in sector scan mode where we can...
yeah, we're trying to kick it over into that mode right now, actually.
Okay, so we can get a little more frequent updates of the exact position of the storm. Since this is our own radar, we can control which way we're aiming it, so we're going to scan it back and forth and get more frequent updates rather than waiting for it to go all the way around the scope. Before we do that, though, I want to quickly go to our weather graphics computer system, because there I need to update you on a couple of things. One, a new tornado watch has been issued throughout East Texas and all the way on over into Louisiana. The threat there will continue through much of the nighttime hours, and down to the southwest here along this front, we've had golf ball sized hail reports down in Erath County around Dublin, so I don't want to forget everybody else. This is going to continue to develop, and these storms are going to be sliding northeastward towards Dallas over the next few hours. But let's go back into the radar, because obviously it's Tarrant County that is the biggest concern at the moment, and there does appear to be a hook here. We are still waiting, though, and have not gotten any confirmation from anyone on the ground of anyone actually seeing a tornado. Here you can see Randall Mill. This would be the Trinity River bottoms right through here, the radar scanning back and forth, and here's the latest update, a little break in the signal there, but you can still clearly see where that circulation is wrapping around and back off to the north, heading in towards Hurst, 625, Euless, 639, and certainly the northern parts of Arlington, not down towards the heart of the city, not down towards the ballpark or UTA, but the main threat of this would be tracking in the river bottoms on the north side of Arlington, between there and Hurst and Euless. Now, that's not to say the rest of Arlington isn't going to be hit. Certainly, this storm is still going to produce a lot of rain and hail as it moves eastward, but the tornado threat at the moment appears to be in this track, moving through the Trinity River bottoms of eastern sections of Fort Worth into North Arlington and the south sides of Hurst and Euless.
David, may I ask you a question?
Yes, Jane.
Broadening out just a little bit, people who are watching right now, can you show us who may be in the path if this continues along the same path? For instance, northern Dallas County, Collin County, can you show us where this looks like it's headed?
Well, certainly, all of the storms are going to affect the entire Dallas-Fort Worth area. We are all going to be hit by storms. The question is where this particular cell is going, and certainly that would carry it eventually on into Irving and over towards Farmers Branch and Addison. But the thing is, this rotation may not last that long. So we're not going to sound a warning yet that far in advance, because we want to watch and see exactly what this does over the next 30 minutes. The immediate threat is that area from North Arlington up to Hurst and Euless, and in the Trinity
tornado on
River
the ground
bottoms.
just south of Richland Hills near 820 and I-30, moving northeast at 30. Spotter confirmed.
Okay, we just got, was James' mic on? If you can repeat that, I want to make sure everyone heard that.
Right, the National Weather Service storm spotters showing, at least confirming now, a tornado on the ground near the East Loop 820 and I-30 moving northeast. Now that is probably going to be just a couple minutes old, and that storm now, again, starting to slide up toward the Hurst area right now as well. So that's what we're looking at
this is the
now.
location where they reported a tornado on the ground. And again, that's just right in that area where we were indicating the Trinity River bottoms, just to the northeast of Loop 820 now is where this would be. And again, tracking to the east or northeast, coming in across the Trinity River bottoms, far north Arlington, far south Hurst, Bedford, and Euless, and that means it's going to be crossing just on the southern side of DFW Airport during the next half hour.
David, does that thing appear to be intensifying as it progresses there, or what is your read on that?
Well, let's wait for this latest scan to come through before we answer that. And still a very good inflow coming into this storm system, and you can see it does appear to be wrapping up. Sometimes what will happen though is if you get the inflow, it'll come in and cut it off.
David,
yes,
I need to tell
Jane.
you something. The producer says that Haltom City Police just called at 121 and Beach. They have had a tornado touch the ground, and they're looking for damage right now. That's at 121 and Beach in Haltom City. If you could point that out.
Yeah, that was about over here when we were talking, where we were talking about 10 minutes ago when it was moving through the Haltom City area, right up the airport
David,
freeway.
3-inch hail now in Colleyville, close to softball size.
Colleyville, 3-inch hail. That's larger than baseball-sized hail coming down in the Colleyville vicinity at the present time. So severe thunderstorm warning all through that area. The tornado threat is not in Colleyville, but down here further south into the Trinity River bottoms. Now, what we're watching for, let's see, we're looking live out here. I don't see anything. We're scanning the sky, see if we can spot anything at the present time. Can you tell me where this shot is coming from? I assume that's Chopper 5, but I don't know where they're located.
That's tower cam, David.
Oh, that is one of the tower cams. Okay.
We're swinging
If our
around.
producers can tell us where we're looking from.
If I can get the
Eric or
producers to
Jane?
tell me where the aperture, where are we scanning right now?
They're trying to find
There
out
is
for you right now, David.
downtown.
That
We have
was
several
downtown,
tower
so
cams.
you're now looking north and west, David. Is
Yeah,
this,
I mean, looking there, scanning around the skyline, I didn't see any sign of a tornado on the ground, but there can certainly be a lot of rain in between that tower and where the tornado is. So we'll go back and look. If there is a tornado still on the ground, it would be right in this vicinity. You've got a good inflow coming into the storm. One concern is that if this inflow continues to come around, it may occlude and develop a second tornado further back. Yeah. At this point, though, the main threat still heading on a track towards the northeast. Here's the latest scan right now, and we're still seeing some circulation there. We have had reports of a tornado touchdown back here, 121 and Beach, and then we also had reports of a tornado touchdown near the intersection of 30 and 820. That's when we were saying it was near the River Bend area. So this moving on towards the east, it may be a little more east than northeast, but certainly along this path, it will be coming in right through this region. Here's the Trinity River bottoms, and it appears to be tracking on the north side of that coming in. So anyone in the area of South Bedford, South Euless, South Hurst should take cover immediately. This is going to be tracking right across the south end of DFW where 360 comes up and intersects the airport freeway. So that area certainly under the gun. Anyone in this region, all those apartment complexes in far north Arlington, take cover immediately.
David,
James?
Tornado warning forthcoming for Dallas County. Is the storm continuing to hold together, moving closer to the county line?
Okay, that's to be expected, assuming it doesn't fall apart, and right now it is showing no signs of doing that. Still a classic hook at this point, and it is tracking off towards the northeast, which should carry it right across 360 in far north Arlington, up near the south end of DFW Airport, and then through parts of Irving, maybe right near Las Colinas, and over towards the Farmers Branch, Addison vicinity. So still a very dangerous situation here. This does now look to be a classic hook echo. James, have you checked the velocity display recently? Are you seeing any better signature there?
Still very strong on the radar, and again located just south of Bedford. So anybody along 121 and 183, you should take tornado precautions, as we've been saying, from south of DFW all the way down to we'll say Interstate 30. Bedford, Euless, over to Irving, including the DFW airport area, north side of Arlington, north side of Grand Prairie, along 360 freeway, north of I-30 as well. Again, tornado precautions, one more time. Lowest level, center part, smallest room in your house. Get away from the outside walls, get away from the doors and windows. If you're in a mobile home or car, the best thing you can do is get to a nearby, sturdier shelter. But This storm has produced hail larger than baseball size in Colleyville. That's moving across 121 in the Grapevine and northern part of Euless right now, moving toward DFW Airport and Capel and Farmers Branch and Irving as well. Plus, we've got this potential tornado, this storm that has produced a tornado. And now we have the official tornado warning that's just been issued for Dallas County, and that runs until 7:15. Tornado, they're saying 11 miles northwest of Grand Prairie, which is right where we're indicating this main circulation, just south of the city of Bedford right now. So again, danger area along 183, 121 toward the airport. You can see the track on Storm Track 5, Bedford, Euless, DFW, and the Irving area. You folks need to take tornado precautions immediately. David?
David, can I ask you a question?
Yes, Jane.
You've got an awful lot of apartment buildings in this track. If you're, for instance, on the second floor of an apartment building, what's the best thing to do at this point?
Well, hopefully, if you're in an apartment that has a center you can get to, some have recreation centers or gyms or something, or a special gathering place that is sturdy and down on a first floor, because you don't want to be on an upper floor of an apartment complex. But at the same time, you need to get downstairs. If you don't have a general center for the entire population of the apartment complex, you can go into maybe a room on the bottom floor that has laundry, for instance, or knock on the door of a neighbor and try to get in stairs.
And David, what we're looking at
downstairs.
right here, right now, is this is a west view from the tower cam out at DFW Airport, as we're looking west into the storm from the DFW Airport area.
Well, if we go back to Storm Track, our #1 version of the Storm Track 5, you'll see that that was looking from DFW Airport back into the storm. You're looking at all that rain and hail. Remember, we had reports of 3-inch diameter hail, larger than baseballs, coming down in the Colleyville vicinity, tracking towards DFW. So what we were seeing in that picture was the rain and the hail coming in that direction towards DFW Airport. If there is a tornado, it would be down here south of the Bell plant, down into the Trinity River bottoms, south of Bedford, south of Euless, and coming in right now towards 360 in far North Arlington.
Here's Haltom City. We have HD Chopper 8 up, and you can see the damage right there. Looks like a billboard may have been torn down there, and in addition to that, you can see some trees that have been knocked down. We've been mentioning that we have a number of reports in Tarrant County of power lines that have been knocked down. And again, you can also see, John McKay, help me out there a little bit. My monitor's awfully small. We have, looks like some maybe I believe that is the area that he is right now. I'm trying to decipher the type of damage that we're looking at right there. It looks like some more roofs have been torn off.
Yeah, that's a neighborhood right there, it looks like. That looks like, what you're looking at the lower right-hand side, looks like some kind of small business area. You see the sign that's up above that's had a problem, the houses across the street. The question is, are the houses that are across the street, are they damaged as we go down the street looking to the right? Are they damaged because of debris, or were they actually struck by the tornado or the high winds themselves?
Well, that's a good point, John. You're looking at 121 right there in Haltom City. And again, the activity has now moved out of Haltom City, but again, those winds that rolled through there were 70 to 80 mile an hour plus winds. And again, we did have several different confirmed reports. Haltom City Police Department, Troy, telling us that they did have they did spot a tornado on the ground, and right now we're getting a tornado warning that's in effect for Rockwall County. That goes until 7:45. So, I mean, that makes sense. First of all, it was Tarrant County. Now it's Dallas County. That is in effect until 7:15. It's moving into the eastern and northeast. There you go. You can see
it's like trailers.
Trailers are piled up right there right now. I did see a report of that earlier. Trailers piled up in Haltom City as well. So again, you cannot take this storm too lightly.
Pete, I don't know if you can hear me well, but Gloria and I have been over here watching. If he can widen out just a little bit, this has got to be within, what, 1 or 2 miles of what we were just taking a look at.
Yeah, and you guys remember, I talked about that earlier. These tornadoes, they touch down, they go back up. They touch down, they go back up, and no doubt that's the damage that you're seeing there from just that activity.
Yeah, indeed. 2 problems. Looks like, Gloria, you've got an RV. There's a line of RVs up at the top.
There's a line of RVs, yes. They're maybe some kind of dealership or a repair shop up against these big old empty trailer cars, it looks like here. So
big damage there. Lots of problems there.
Talking on the cell phone to somebody. we were talking just a few minutes ago. You were telling me that you were inside and took cover under a mattress. What happened?
We were just sitting there watching the news and seeing that it was coming, and all of a sudden we just seen a rush come through the window with, you know, all the dirt and rocks and everything start flying. So we ran to the back room and shut the door and got underneath the mattress, and that was it.
What was it like when all that was going on?
It was terrifying. It was terrifying. All I could think about, I had my baby with me, my daughter, and I just kept worrying about her and then my other kids across town. It was terrifying. I've never been through anything like that in my life.
So you're okay, but a little shaken up, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad that you're okay. So that's the story here in North Fort Worth. Luckily, no injuries that we know about at this point, but a lot of damage to the houses here. Back to you.
All righty, Scott Gordon, thank you.
One man coming out here says he was actually blown back into the store from here, but the damage is really widespread. We have electricity that's out everywhere you go. Let's walk over here. Mike Kinney's with me. Mike,
well, we appear to have lost.
We just lost we lost the signal for a second.
Out in that car?
Yeah.
Say again.
Probably some big hail in that, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of hail over there. So once again, we're in Haltom City here. We'll reestablish a connection with Bud. Live coverage here on CBS 11, kind of after the big storm has rolled through. There could be more to come tonight. Christine and Mike and Jeff and the crew working on that. But you're looking at the top of a Minyard food store there at 121 in Haltom City, and a number of people, as one of our photographers reported earlier, were injured by flying glass and debris. And I understand we got Bud back. You there, Bud?
yes, we're making some repairs on the fly here. Bear with me. Still at the Minyard store about which you were speaking just a moment ago. Give you some idea, this car looks like it was parked here at the time when the storm came through. You can see windows punched out. There are other cars in the lot very similar to that here. What we were told by some folks who were here at the time is that there was windy and then suddenly just a loud noise. One man told Tom Ream, one of our photographers first on the scene here, that he was, Mike, be careful, there's a car behind you there. Don't back up and get into it. That he was trying to come out the door here at the Minyards when the wind picked him up and actually blew him back into the store. We have electricity out everywhere here. We're right on the corner of on the border rather with Fort Worth. It's on the other side, the left hand side of your camera as you look at it, and being here in Haltom City on the right-hand side, we have a lot of Fort Worth police in the agency lending aid. Looking across over here, this appears to be what's left of a hamburger stand at this area. We don't know, we just arrived here, we don't know the extent of the damage, but as you can see, the Blockbuster there behind it, the electricity is out. We also have, in driving up here, coming through residence areas, and we've seen a lot of damage to homes, a tremendous amount of damage, tree damage, limbs down, thing of this area. We don't have, as we say, any electricity here, so people are kind of feeling their way through traffic-wise, coming through intersections that do not have either police officers directing traffic or lights, automatic signals, anything of that nature to help them. And so folks are kind of easing along here, dealing with each other as they try to get to wherever they're trying to get on this Friday evening, Friday the 13th.
But we're taking some aerial photographs right now of that hamburger stand that you were talking about, and it really is reduced to just a pile of wood and metal. We're going to go back out now to Mike Berger. I think you have some new information for us.
Yeah, and Bud doing a great job out there, as all of our reporters and photographers are. We've got a report of some building damage, trees down, power lines down in Dallas at John West and Buckner. That's right around the White Rock Lake area, and that's exactly where this storm is. Now, we want to update you on this storm and what it's doing. Jeff, if we can zoom in on this, well, we'll take a broad look first, that's fine, and we'll look at where this storm is, still producing huge amounts of rain out of this, strong lightning. We see all of these lightning flashes in here. As I've told you throughout the afternoon and the evening, usually when you see a lot of lightning, it can be indicative of some large hail, and it can also cause huge problems because lightning is so dangerous. You folks live in the Muncie and Whitehead area, and around Quinlan, McRoy, and Bowles Home, this storm is headed your way. So it's coming right across Rockwall where the warnings are up right across Lake Ray Hubbard toward Blackland, Fate, Royce City. You're right in the path of this storm.
Michael Hornsby, and this is in Haltom City. If we could, you can barely make out what you see in that picture.
And what this is at the intersection of 183 and Carson there in Haltom City. Most people know it as Airport Freeway going through there. And it's a little difficult to see. It's a little dark as we're looking at it from here. It is a tornado
on the ground, though. Michael Hornsby has, it is a tornado on the ground. It's very difficult to make out. David, what do you see in this picture?
Okay, well, I was just looking at the latest warnings. We just had a tornado warning extended on into the southern section of Hunt County, so I want to pass that on. From that picture, it's so dark, I honestly can't tell you much of the detail from what we were seeing there. But we do have that tornado warning now for southern Hunt County. That is because this storm will be passing very quickly across Rockwall County, which is a very small county after all. And within the next 20 to 30 minutes, it'll be across Rockwall County and into southern Hunt County. I think we can probably say that the warning down here in Kaufman County is not a great concern for tornadoes. Certainly a lot of heavy rain and hail, but the tornado threat primarily moving up the I-30 corridor from Heath towards McClendon, Chisholm, on up south of 30, maybe just south of Rockwall, Fate, and Royce City, and then heading on up in the general direction of Greenville. We don't know if the circulation will hold together that long, but certainly the storm is moving in that direction.
David, I have a question for you. I'm trying to keep up. Do we have 3 definite tornado spottings right now?
Well, it depends on exactly how you measure it. Right. It's been spinning out from the same circulation center. We've had several reports of tornadoes. There are times when a tornado was touched down, lifted, and then come down again, and it depends on whether you count that as 1 or 2 tornadoes, but certainly there have been at least 3, maybe 4 different locations where we have had tornadoes reporting on the ground. We had the reports of a definite tornado touchdown, and we've seen the damage there in Haltom City at the Airport Freeway and Beach, and then a rather extensive damage to a number of the structures in the Newell and Newell Business Park there in the River Bend area of East Fort Worth, just off 30 and
820 and Randall Mill, just north of there, right?
Right. And
that's
here
what
we're
you're
looking at
right
some of the
there.
damage. This is back in that Newell and Newell Business Park. You can see the big air conditioning units up on the top just tossed around like dominoes up there. A lot of damage. We've had entire walls come down from some of these buildings. It appears to be tilt wall construction, and some of those appear to have come down on some of the other buildings here. It's mostly, looks like collapsed roof off of Loop 820 in the Trinity River bottoms there of East Fort Worth.
Behind here a little bit earlier, and they told horrific stories about what it was like when this thing hit. Pretty scary experience for these people, but we're glad to report that at this point we know of no serious injuries. Mike?
Okay, so Scott, then what you're saying is that as far as we know right now, because this is the most important thing, everybody in that area seems to be accounted for?
Well, Jan, you're cutting out on me a little bit. We're having
the people. We're wondering about the people.
Out here, but Jane, let me tell you, there are no serious injuries that we know of.
All righty, Scott.
We have had no reports of a tornado on the ground in the last few minutes. Let me see, we just got a new report in from James. Let's go back there.
Right, David. Damage reported at Royce City in the last few minutes from an amateur radio spotter. We're unsure at this point whether it's straight winds or any kind of tornado damage, but a grocery store damaged in Royce City from an amateur radio spotter.
Okay, so we do know we are still getting damage out of this particular cell. Whether or not it is tornado damage, certainly it is enough to cause damage. So that would be Royce City right up here is where we just had reports of wind damage of either, whether it was straight line or tornado. It caused damage to a grocery store there, and where there's damage to one building, there are likely going to be reports of others. So just assume there is a tornado there, whether we can confirm it or not, and that is moving into southern Hunt County. So those of you here in the path of this storm, east of Royce City, from south of 30 down towards Quinlan, take cover immediately. There have been damaging winds or tornadoes within the past few minutes from this storm. Mike and Jane?
David, on the east side of Lake Ray Hubbard there, locate where Heath is for me, because I'm going to show you a picture that we just got in from Eddie Fulfer.
That's
Jane,
pretty clear.
That is a tornado up in the clouds there.
It's definitely a funnel. We don't. It's not a tornado till it touches the ground. Now, just because you don't see the funnel all the way to the ground doesn't mean it's not a tornado. Sometimes you can have an invisible funnel. What you watch for for is debris on the ground blowing up. So you don't always have a visible funnel all the way to the ground to be a tornado. We can confirm for sure that this was a funnel cloud moving across Heath just in the past 15 to 20 minutes or so. That is shifting eastward, and we did shortly thereafter get reports of wind damage in Royce City. So a very clear picture of a funnel. There's no doubting this one. We just don't know if there was any damage other than in the Royce City area. Certainly this was passing over Heath and then moving towards the northeast. We have had no damage reports there as yet. I assume the guy who took the photo would have told us if he had seen any damage. So at this point, we know there was a funnel at this location, right where that signature of the rotation was showing up. As it moved east up here into Royce City, we got reports of wind damage. So just assume there is still a tornado on the ground.